I'm gonna give you a little reminder, refresher on how to put a quick backup on your horse. This is something that is not always super high on my priority list with young horses because I have so many things to do with the 3-year-olds that getting a fast backup is kind of one of the last things that doesn't always get checked off. I'm gonna use Shooter here today. He backs up good, but not very fast, and I'd like to improve upon that his 4-year-old year. First things first, you got to be able to just back them up any kind of way first. So for me, backing up, starting out, I want to take my legs off in my stopping position, my feet off, heels down, toes up. Pressure on that bit. As soon as he starts to move, release. This is your kind of your 2-year-old 101. If your horse doesn't move his feet, I'm going to move my feet. I've got long legs, so I like to kind of slap that elbow or shoulder. Once he starts to move backwards, I stop kicking, but I keep backing. Then I release after he's gone a few steps. I don't want the signal or the cue to back up to be my legs, if that makes sense. Because if I stop him after I use my legs, then he's thinking, oh, okay, that's the signal. Now, I want the signal to be very simple. I take the gas pedal off, meaning my legs, and I pull, you go backwards. So this is what I gotta have first. Now, if you get in a spot where your horse starts to really pull, let's just go through this real quick before we go fast. I'm gonna back in circles with that horse. So if that horse starts to pull his head one way, I might pull his head the opposite. So I use same ring, same leg, because I can kind of pull him off balance and I have leverage. And I'd back him the other way, kind of back some figure eights. He's got a little bit of resistance here. And this is what I do if a horse is wanting to get a little pushy in the face, which he wasn't, but now that I'm doing this, he kind of is a little bit. Again, if he doesn't move his feet, move your feet until he does. I found too, one of the quickest ways to get a horse to back up straight is to be able to back up circles. You really can control their whole body and feel where they're stiff. Okay, now he's giving in. So you've got to at least be able to have that on your horse, okay? Now, to get speed, you've got to pull harder and we need a faster cue, or need a go fast cue. So I'm going to ask him, I'm going to pull. And what I want you to try to do is think about, I like to try to do it 3 times, 3 repetitions where I'll pull, release, pull, release, pull, release. And getting them to go fast. In the beginning, they're not gonna just put their head down and just be like, okay, I'm gonna run backwards. When you grab a hold of them, it's gonna startle them, and when you cluck, they might even be up here a little bit. If their head's up, I also want you to go to your feet and kind of tap their belly, or kind of right by the cinch or right by that shoulder area with the side of your foot until they drop their head down. So let me try this again. Let me show you. And I'm going to do this in a sequence of 3, the 3 times is going to be the sequence. So I'm stopped, pull, tap with my feet until he drops his head, release, but he keeps backing, pull, release, pull, release, stop, and I go do it again. So what you saw there, he finished up good every time, dropped his head. When I first pulled him, he didn't take that pull very well. That's why he's not backing up so good. So I've got to get that down, and that's why we do it 3 times in a row, mainly so he can see it and know, oh, it's coming. Notice he never stopped moving backwards. It was 3 pulls basically and kind of 1 continuous backup. Let's try again. Heels down, pull. That actually was pretty good. So the first 2 times you saw I picked up and pulled, he kept his head in about the same frame as where it was, which is exactly what we want. I clucked and he sped up. The 3rd time he got just a little lazy on me. I had to tap with my feet a little bit to get him moving. Now, not every horse can back up fast, but they all can back up faster than what they're probably doing. And this is just something that's just about taking time. Now, one other thing you got to watch for, some of these horses, when they back up, they will literally step on their back feet. And if they're doing that, they're going to get frozen up and they're going to want to raise up in the air. At any point, if your horse starts to do that, release and stop. Don't keep pulling. because you keep putting pressure on them and it hurts. Next thing you know, you're pulling them over the top of you. So stop right where you're at. Think about it, and if they're one that really steps deep, you're gonna have to slow this process down. I'm gonna show you one more time here with Shooter. And this is pretty basic. You wanna back up fast, you kinda gotta pull a little bit until they get used to it. Pull. Pretty darn good. Then what you would expect, and see for me, if you pull and he doesn't fight it, that's a willingly guided horse. They're not gonna score you down for that as long as their mouth's not open. But if I kept doing this, which I'm going to, every day, I would like to think over a period of time, old Shooter here is gonna pick up that when my heels go down and I pick my hand up, just run backwards. That way he doesn't have to feel, which he's already getting it, he doesn't have to get that harder pull. You say, why do we want that backup? Well, a lot of times that can save your score. You can add a half point. The backup's the last thing that those judges see before they score that stop. So if you can run backwards and you're sitting on a +1/2, you might be able to get a +1, or maybe you're on a 0 and it saves you to a +1/2. So that's, again, one of those kind of finishing things on your horse. It's probably not super high on your list. For me, this is the kind of thing I'm doing like in my downtime. Like this horse has had some time off. You know, we're slowly getting him ramped up for another show. So this is something that I'm kind of putting on him now. And you know, you can always sharpen a little bit when you get to the show. So real simple way to speed your horse's back up, and it's basically just doing it. Grabbing a hold of them, pulling them straight back, and using some voice cues like a cluck, then releasing until you get that speed, and just do it over and over and over again.